Welcome to another one. Damn, I look buttoned up a little bit, because I don't want to be too provocative. And if you're thinking, why am I wearing these headphones? It's not just a style, even though it looks pretty cool, I'm saying, but it's also microphone. Okay, so chill. Anyway, in this one, I want to talk about the government and the protectorate and the difference of the two. There's two camps, there's two orders: ego order, sacred order. Government, control of the mind; protectorate, protect the heart. And what does it mean? The reason I want to talk about this is because I think it's a crucial thing to understand how the world is structured and how this is the root of all the problems, and not just on a personal level, on a societal level. And it's the creation of this thing called government, which is the control of the mind. Okay. And I want to distinguish this because it's very important. One is acting as a tyrannical father, and one is acting as a benevolent father. Okay? It's not that all father figures are bad, which is a lot what's going on now, and so nobody trusts in the father figure anymore because of this deep-rooted betrayal of this thing called government. And what I'm talking about is not a new thing. It has been tried before, but I don't think it was a good time. And maybe it is a good time now. Not that I think it might be that there's no other option right now. We're getting to the time there's no other option. Do or die. But what I mean by that is the first 13 colonies in the United States, and the idea that they conjured up was the Protectorate, because they attempted to flee the tyrannical father figure, the government of the United Kingdom, and to create a new way of life, because now they had the freaking new clean slate, a land, amazing land and all that stuff. So let's just do something right. The idea was beautiful. They probably popped some, mushrooms or something, because what they've downloaded, the idea of decentralization, the idea of the creation of protectorate, rhythm of the governments, all these original ideas were beautiful, but they just got corrupted on the way, man. And America died in 1916 when Woodrow Wilson signed the papers, and it created the government again, and no more protectorate. And it became a government, central bank, and all that shit, and you know the rest. And it became a zombie. Of course, there was a little bit of like a golden era momentum up to 50s and 60s was pretty freaking awesome. Well, except the war, of course. But looking at the 50s and 60s culture and fashion, there's magic there, man. From 20s to 60s, there's a lot of magic there. And not a coincidence. But of course, the corruption crept up, and then people became too suffering was more important to deal with than the explosion of the creativity and the Renaissance, you see. Anyway, so I got a little bit off the tangent. I do that a lot, but it's important because the tree has branches. If you want to see the whole tree, you need to see the branches too. But going back to the protectorate and the government, the difference, right? These two concepts are intrinsically existing within consciousness, within each single individual and each single society and stuff like that. Government is created out of fear, and government always tells you what to believe, right? And that's the root. Like if you have such thing as in your mind the government, right, which is trying to control something that must be spontaneous. See, that's what the protectorate does. It just protects the spontaneous unfoldment of things. leaves it be. It gives this space. It says like, okay, here's how the world works. Okay, I give you the frame, but I'm not gonna get involved in giving you the belief systems. Go ahead and figure the life out. But I will protect the frame, because I know that what is the divine order. I know the laws of natural laws. I know the laws of consciousness. And the protector is like, work within this framework. But when we're not going to touch whatever happens within that, must happen. And you let this evolution unfold. And I mean, of course, this is when the holistic society starts being born. This is where people are living in the right direction, facing challenges, dealing issues on the emotional level, transcending, moving on to the next one. And so the life becomes moving towards the right path, you know. And this is why this world permits this reality of the creation of the government, but does not mean that we're supposed to be doing that, you know. And there's this fear of like, wow, what's going to happen if we don't have a government, you know? Well, why don't we give it a go, at least on a small scale, you know, and see what happens? Why don't we just allow, for example, the protectorate must protect them physically. For example, when the child is growing up, you have to make sure that baby-proof the things. Physically, you have to take care of the things. Infrastructure, you got to take care of the things, right? Because protectorate does that. It protects the children growing up, and it also gives the framework of life. And it's, you know what I'm talking about, right? Like what happens when you have a challenge and how to actually deal with it, rather than going in the coping mechanism, you know, and downward spiral into the hell. So that's what the Protectorate does. So if we have the Protectorate, you'll find that each Protectorate will very likely be exact same. With the, of course, you know, if you have one country and Protectorate there, another country, another Protectorate there, the culture and explosion may be unique, but the framework is exactly the same. It's the order. So I hope you can see that there's this artificial, corrupt order of government, and then there's this sacred, naturally lawful order of Protectorate, right? One is creating the laws of man, another one is protecting the laws of God, if you will, right? And again, not that this is no longer challenges, but the challenges are being dealt with in a beautiful way. You know, something negative turns into something beautiful. You know, art is being created, and here on this government side, it's cramping. There's not a lot of, cannot produce the spontaneous art and love and joy and all these kind of things. He does not produce it. Tyrannical father does not produce this type of household. So, and I think this is the beginning of the first domino, right? This is the beginning of the first domino. You Protectorate must be protected at all costs. And if you don't protect this, and if you start creating the government, then you're going down the downward spiral again. It's just the way it is, you know, like how else to see it? And you can see it in your own psyche as well. Try and control things that are supposed to be spontaneous leads you to suffering, you know, and neglecting the things that's supposed to be structured in a certain way, and neglecting that leads you to suffering as well. So one way or another, you got to learn the order, and then, you know, learn the spontaneity, and then your life is awesome. But then, you know, if you live this type of life and then you're trying to be part of this mechanistic government society, you don't fit in. You can't fit in. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't function on the same level. How can you fit in? So that's why there's this need. A lot of people want this. Like, you know, there's no denial that a certain type of structure must exist for the society, right? There's no argument there. It's not. That's why I'm saying that anarchy is not the way to go, because you don't have any structure. You know what I'm saying? There are a lot of people that call this anarchists. They're not really anarchists. They do want a certain type of structure still. It's just that that structure must be lawful according to the natural laws. That's what they really want, because if it's a pure anarchy, no structure, it's the same hell as tyranny. No difference. You can't build anything, you can't construct anything, you can't do fuck all, pardon my French, if you have a complete chaos happening. You know, it has to be in the middle. There's the structure, it has to be put in a structured way, spontaneity in a spontaneous way, right? And that's what the Protectorate does. And to talk a little bit more about this, I don't know if a lot of people, I see a lot of people want this, and they say, like, I don't know what to do, right? Like, okay, how do I don't want to live part of this system, because I can see it's kind of sinking, you know. Nobody wants to be part of this slavery, tyrannical world. They want to leave this and create something new. So a lot of people going and creating their own, you know, homesteading, permaculture, all this stuff started happening. You know, like Bitcoin was created for this reason. But right now we don't have this protectorate, right? And so that's is needed. That's something that provides the structure to the society. And if you enter, for example, in this type of society, even though you live within, you know, one specific country, but you live according to your own laws, your own structure, and you're not really participating in that economy. You are living in an independent way, and so therefore, if you're living in an independent way and don't participate in that economy, you're not really a danger to them, and they're supposed to leave you alone. And that's supposed to be protected. That, you know, no one can tell you about how to live your life, but a certain structure must be provided. This is why I'm kind of calling for an idea. Just like Bitcoin was created through the decentralized protocol, it was essentially the code that was based on natural laws that you cannot break. And the same way this Protectorate must be built. I argue that it must be built on a decentralized way, blockchain, where each single household can belong to the network, and the network, nobody runs it. There is no government. Everything is decentralized, but that network provides the structure, provides all the information that you need to have to live this type of life, provides the markets and everything that men provide. And I envision that this type of network is what's required in order to create this Protectorate, because it's very unlikely that the government is going to start little by little. I hope so in the end, that the government is going to start reducing the control and moving on to more a Protectorate rather than the government. If the country would do that, that would be an opportunity, you know, like an amazing opportunity. But if the governments don't do that, don't transmute into the Protectorates, then we need to have a decentralized system that is like a worldwide network, just like Bitcoin, and immutable. No one can take it down. You see, this provides the Protectorate structure because it gives you all the structure, that the way, you know, to live your life. And but it does not it cannot be taken down. It cannot be corrupted. That's why the Protectorate cannot be corrupted. The Protectorate in the United States was corrupted because it was corruptible. This type of, it would not be able to corrupt it, because just like you cannot corrupt the Bitcoin, this type of network you would not be able to corrupt. It's like a holistic society network, if you will. But this is just one of the ways that I see that could be dealt with, and create this environment that is digital and helping people to live sort of in a decentralized way, just like neurons in the brain, like all over the world, all homesteads connected into one, and that's like a network. And it would be interesting experiment to see what happens, how people can live in this type of structure that is natural and lawful. And man, you know, every government structure is a lie. It just, you know, and there's no one to blame. I mean, they pop out just because men are weak. That's why they pop out. And some men want a lot of power because they're weak and they don't have sense of security within themselves. They think that gaining physical power of other people gives them security, but it doesn't. I mean, come on, man. You should learn this by now. It gives you more stress than anything else in life. And then also you create so much karma for yourself that shit, I don't envy no person in position of that type of power. Anyway, nobody wins. That's what I'm trying to say. Nobody wins. As a human being, as a soul, nobody wins. This is why, if it makes sense of those two structures, that there is this fatherly figure that is benevolent, and then there is this fatherly figure that is tyrannical, we start from there, because that's the seed of everything else. It's what kind of tree you're going to plant, the seed of tyranny or the seed of freedom, and that's it. And we don't have to argue whether like complete control and tyranny is the way to go, or the anarchy is the way to go. Protectorate is something in the middle. And that's pretty much it. That's all I want to say in this video. And hopefully it kind of makes sense what's wrong with the world, and how easily we accept this thing called government, and how it's not necessary, and that another structure exists naturally, which is way better. Way better. It's not weak either. It's not weak. It's actually stronger than the government. It's very powerful, because when you let the people to evolve naturally without intervening and controlling them, the renaissance happens, technological explosion happens, like so fast. And then you have the much stronger military power, complete technological superiority of any kind of form of government. And but you gotta let go of the illusion of control. You know what I'm saying? And just focus on what you can do, you know, like a benevolent father would. He would say, like, okay, what do these kids need? All right, so structure. This is how we're going to structure everything physically, because this is according to this structure. All right, go play. But not putting the belief systems and not manipulating them to keep the same power game playing, you know. Let me create the problem for you, and I'm going to act you like a savior. This is like a narcissistic tyrannical father does, right? So where do we begin? And we honestly, I tell you, where do we begin? We begin with personal growth. And I don't know if that's, if any kind of government is going to decide to mold themselves in the protectorate, but the first government that's going to do that, it's just almost the same thing as the first government is going to accept the Bitcoin as a national currency. They're going to grow in power and be built on the ruins and the collapsing structure of governments. Protectorate is going to build the empire of the Protectorate, who is actually, controlling the things that meant to be controlled, but not the people. And man, I mean, so much more fun. So for somebody to be in a position of power where there's no power of the people, but the power of the structure to provide the freedom for the people, that cannot be more satisfying. If you're in this type of, if you participate in the Protectorate as a fatherly figure, I mean, cannot be, and you're not stressed out. You get all the luxuries of the people who act in power, minus all the stress. It's not only the best thing to do, but it's also the most intelligent thing to do. But in order for that type of person to exist and to protect the Protectorate, that person must be also already evolved intelligently to the point for this to happen. So, and until then, at least as a man, you can do that with your own homestead. You can have those, use these laws. And I'm going to make another video about the specific laws of consciousness, laws of nature, that if you sustain it, you automatically have a self-sustainable household with all the freedom, with all the, minus all the nonsense that's happening in the world. Then you can finally enjoy life, and all the time wasting things that's just trying to take your attention is just not going to be there. Anyway, enough for this video. See you in the next one. Thanks.